Thanks. Welcome back to my house too.
Yeah, I know, right back
and
to your house.
now we have Daisy.
Yes.
For those of you who are not watching this on YouTube, which you totally can, there's a sweet puppy that is joining us.
Yeah.
My dog Daisy May.
My grand dog. Yeah. Okay. So today, because we've had like 2 pretty intense,
Yeah, a little heavy.
episodes, we thought we would do something a little lighter.
Yeah.
And fun. And that is, we're going to talk a little bit about mothers and daughters, like moms and daughter relationships. And I think we will do this periodically, though. Like I think we should have conversation like this, and maybe even if people have questions or
Yeah, I definitely want to like down the line like make some room for like people to possibly even like call in or like ask us questions like on social media. Like you can, we haven't plugged ourselves at all.
Yeah.
You can follow us on Instagram. We have an Instagram. It's at Mind Your Heart Pod. And it's the same thing on YouTube as well. So like if you just look up youtube.com/at Mind Your Heart Pod, you can find us there as well. And then we both have our own individual social media channels. So my Instagram is Confidence Coach M on Instagram, and then
Trina_Debery.
Yeah, so you can find us there. But all of that stuff also will be like linked below. So you don't have to remember that.
Yeah, that's a lot. Okay, so so we can talk about. So let's talk about one of our like when you think about us, like what do you think is something like kind of unique or special about our relationship?
I don't know. I feel like, I guess the way it's hard because I feel like there's like we're not like a lot of mother-daughter relationships.
Yeah.
At least for sure we weren't like in the earlier years. I think like we have definitely like grown into something a little different.
Yeah, definitely.
Now.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about like how it was before, and then we'll talk about what's changed, because I think it is really eye-opening for women, for mothers, to go through this distance with your adult children. Mm-hmm. Like I think anyone that is like an empty nester, or like your child is an adult, it changes. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the first, like the early part.
So you mean like kind of like middle school through high school? Because that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time together.
Yeah,
like a lot of time, and we loved to watch like The Bachelor. I remember that. Yeah. And Gilmore
we started
Girls.
watching The Bachelor as a joke.
Yes, because I didn't want anything to do with that.
Yeah, because we thought it was going to be so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then we were like, okay, well, maybe we should watch another season.
Yeah, it's coming on Monday.
Yeah. So maybe I guess we'll watch it. Yeah. Yeah, and then we started watching it together, like, religiously. And then when Jake and I started dating, all 3 of us would watch it.
Yeah. And then you guys excluded me and just
That's
left me out.
not true.
Yeah.
We did not exclude you.
But it was... Yeah, but it was like our thing, and then it became yours and Jake's thing, and it was like, yeah, that's all right. That's part of life. Yeah, that's the way. That's part of.
Now he doesn't even like watching just The Bachelor or Bachelorette. He like wants to see Bachelor in Paradise, which is fair.
That's funny.
Better.
I know. I don't. The Bachelor, like, I don't think I'm gonna watch it this season. Has it started?
It's with Jen. Right? Yeah, no, I'm not super excited for that.
Yeah.
I loved Joey's season.
Yeah, I liked Joey's season
and
too.
I am like the kind of person that whenever you watch like these people on reality TV, like I am going to follow you on Instagram and like know your life.
That's so
After
funny.
that, like I know like Joey and Kelsey have been like traveling, like they were just in Florida.
That's hilarious. I don't know anything. As
Yeah.
soon as they're done, I'm like, they're done for me.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I'm like invested, especially in Joey and Kelsey because I really, really liked Joey's season a lot.
Yeah.
So
It was a good season.
yeah.
I liked The Golden Bachelor.
I didn't finish that.
Yeah, I liked it. Although I guess it's a really disappointing ending.
I was yeah.
Yeah.
They got divorced.
Yeah. And also I feel a little gypped as the Generation X.
Yeah, that they just
person
went like from
just
like
totally skipped
yeah.
us. Like it's like, hello.
I feel like they tried to do like the earlier part of Your Generation with Claire.
Huh.
But then like she was like, just kidding, I'm in
Yeah.
love right away.
Right away. No, I know that's yeah, I don't know. Well, they could try again.
Yeah.
I mean, for
I definitely
heaven's
think they
sakes.
should because that season, like the men on that season were so like mature and good.
Yeah.
Like I liked watching the men there.
Yeah. It's when people are like so young that they haven't had any life experience. It's just I don't know. It doesn't. It's just I don't like it as much. But I have gotten a chance.
They're just more like
Yeah.
ridiculousness.
I have gotten a chance to like listen to the intros of all the guys for Jen's season.
Oh really?
Yeah. Well, this will come out. It will have already started.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
When does it come out?
I have no idea.
Okay.
All right.
So we don't even know if that's true.
Yeah, I do know it's true because
Okay.
it's coming.
Okay.
But and we're yeah, and this will be a little bit to the future.
Who was the runner up? Who it was Kelsey and
I don't know.
I can't remember because I feel like Daisy. It was
Oh,
Daisy,
yeah, I
and
love
I love Daisy.
Yeah, I love Daisy.
I was really bummed when
Yeah.
she wasn't going to be the Bachelorette because, like, I just think she's so cool.
Me
I follow
too.
her.
I
On Instagram,
really
too.
I really like Daisy. Now
Yes.
if it was Daisy, I would be watching it.
100%.
And it's nothing against Jen. It's just that I didn't get connected
I
to
feel
her.
like we didn't learn anything
Yeah.
about her.
So that feels really weird. So so that's one thing that we used to do together. And then we started watching what is that one like teenage tween show with the Pretty Little Liars.
We really?
Yeah.
I watched that. Like that was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time.
Like in
ago.
the Two-Story House. I
I wasn't
that.
watching that then. I watched it
Okay.
with you in when we
Little
were in
Liars.
Yeah.
They have a new version of that. It's
Ooh.
like a horror version.
Oh no.
Yeah. It's creepy.
Yeah, it was a little too much anyway, but I wanted to like
Yeah.
watch what you were watching.
We used to go on like bike rides and stuff together
Yep.
too.
We used to go on bike
That was
rides.
fun.
We Emily gives the best foot massages in the world, and that is the best. We watched Grey's Anatomy together.
Oh, yeah.
When did we find Gilmore Girls?
I feel like that was when like you moved into the house you're in now.
Really?
Yeah, because Gilmore Girls started to become more of like a re-trend, and that it was like a little bit after we started watching it.
Oh, such a good show.
So good. Yeah, I think I've rewatched that show. I don't know, so many times. It just like makes you feel good.
Yeah, I think so too. It makes me happy. I'm like Luke and Lorelai, Rory, Logan, the grandfather, and Richard and Emily.
Yeah, Richard and Emily.
Yeah.
Gilmore.
So yeah, I love that show. I've watched it. I'm watching Parenthood right now.
Oh,
I'm
also
rewatching-
such a good show.
Such a good show. These kind of shows, I guess, when you have anxiety, you like to repeat watch.
Mm-hmm.
It helps with that.
Yeah, because you don't have to guess what's going to happen. So, like, it's really common in people who have anxiety to rewatch shows over and over again because, like, their brain doesn't have to anticipate something. Like, you feel like you know what's going to happen and you're comfortable with that.
You can kind of relax.
yeah.
Your brain can kind of take a back seat.
Yeah, which is kind of like... It's funny because, like, with books, I will read, like, the last couple of pages before I read the book.
Oh, gosh. There's no way. I would totally not. We're not
Really?
editing, so we might as well just keep going.
Yeah, no, I know.
I would totally not do that. I actually like to anticipate. It's just that when I'm tired in the evening, it's nice. I just feel like I'm joining old friends. I don't know. That's just how I feel. Anyway.
Yeah.
Um,
no, I get anxious So I want to know. I want to know the end. And I was even talking to one of my friends about this, who she was like, I just don't like movies because, like, it just feels like I'm waiting to, like, know what happens. And I was like, why don't you just look up the end before you go see it? And she was like, that's a great idea. Like, I feel like I would be so much more excited to go see a movie.
That is crazy. I would never want to do that. And, like, as a teacher, I think back, I would be like, don't go to the end of the book. Like, you don't want to go to the end. You're going to ruin the end for yourself. But I've never thought about it.
But you also don't know how they get there. And also, like, if
Yeah.
you're reading the last couple of pages, like, you're not getting the whole end. You're just getting kind of, like, in this recent book that I was reading, spoiler alert for the Twisted series, if you're reading that. I read Twisted Love, which is the first one, and I, like, just wanted to know if they ended up together. Because I'm like, if they don't end up together, like, I'm going to be really upset. So I, like, read the last page.
You spoiled it for yourself.
Yeah.
That's
and
crazy.
I was like, okay, I can keep going.
As a media specialist and as a teacher, I do not encourage that.
Yeah.
I do not. No, I like trying to figure it out and make predictions. But anyway, so those were just some of the things that we would do together. But I just felt like we had, like, a very special connection.
Yeah. Yeah. And I, like, told you, like, everything. Like, people would tell me stuff at school, and I'd be like, well, let's see what my mom thinks about this. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I tell her everything. Like, that's just how it was.
Yeah.
And people are like, wow, like, that's, and she doesn't, like, get upset or, like, isn't, like, mad about anything. I'm like, no, like, I just am honest.
But you weren't really doing anything that would be upset worthy.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing.
I do remember when I did, like, kind of for the first time, did something that upset you. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
I was in high school.
I don't know.
Really? It was, like, really the only time that I had I lied.
Yeah, I don't remember you lying.
Well, I don't remember.
I do feel like there's a lot of pressure on you and Jackson not to lie. And then when I learned while in counseling with Jackson that lying is a part of adolescence. So you have to test that boundary. I'm like, oh, whoops. Then I felt
I did not lie. I was not somebody who lied.
Yeah.
But that one time.
That was a big deal to me. It is a big deal to me still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, understandably.
Yeah.
But I remember, like, that was the, like, first time, like, you were really mad at me. And I had, like, skipped my last class. Like, I was supposed to, I was, like, scheduled to skip my last class for a dance thing that I had. So, like, that was, like, known. But instead of just skipping the last class, I skipped this stupid thing that we had called the walk. To, like, get in our physical activity. And I think I, like, left early from, like, the class that you go to the walk from. And so that way we could, like, get something to eat. So, like, me and, like, a couple of my friends.
I was mad?
Yeah, because I told you that I didn't tell you that happened. Like, I basically was, like, I had said, like, oh, yeah, like, I'm allowed to skip this class, which I was allowed to skip that last class because everybody knew that.
You just didn't give me the whole story.
But I didn't tell you that I had skipped the walk and...
What?
Like,
how did I find out?
I eventually told you.
Okay.
Because I felt so guilty.
Well, I don't remember that.
And you were like, you lied to me. And I was like, I know, I'm so sorry.
I think because lying was such a trigger for me.
Yeah.
That I felt, I did that to Jackson too. I'm like, you lied. It wasn't even the fact that he had gotten in trouble about something that was serious. It was more that he lied. Yeah. I felt like betrayed.
Yeah.
That's a little excessive though. I realize now at this point. You just feel, I don't know, you just don't know.
Well, you're also in a relationship where there was lots of lying.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it would be triggering.
I think that you as a parent, you try to, like, do that the best that you can. But you're not going to always get it right.
No.
You're going to mess up. And that's part of it.
Yeah.
But it does change, like, you know, as you got older, like and then when you moved here, like when you moved away from the house,
like to this house or
yes,
the
to this house, not even to the first apartment, but it was this house when you started seeing a counselor and you were really into boundaries. And I remember the first time that you were like, well, I'm setting a boundary, and if you don't like it, that's basically too bad. And I remember being like, what? I just felt so,
Yeah.
I don't know how I felt. I was like, I remember talking to Jane about it, and she's like, boundaries. Yep. Okay. And she's
It was
like,
also like very much of a, like I hadn't learned how to do that with really anyone.
yeah.
And so it was like a very, and my counselor at the time, she had told me, she was like, it's going to be very extreme for you in the beginning. And then it'll go to like where you actually understand like how that feels. But yeah, I think it was just like, and also like, I think back to that and I'm like, I knew that like I wasn't going to like lose you by like figuring our boundaries out.
Yeah.
But like I did feel like there needed to be some like growth with like where we were, like, because I wasn't a teenager anymore, like just telling you like all the things, like I have a partner like who I tell those things to, but like I still like want a relationship with you and like wanted to like figure that out. It was definitely like that was difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, like I basically fired you as my client. I did fire you as my client.
You did. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was difficult.
Yeah.
That was a hard time. I was like, how did we get here? I remember feeling like that. Like, how do we, I don't know what to do. Like, I mean,
I'm trying to remember where you were. Like, what was going on, like, in your life, too.
I don't remember. I just know that, I mean, things change. And like, you were the person I talked to about so many things, and like I didn't even intend for that to be.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, she's not going to be my friend. This is my daughter. I'm the mother. I felt really strongly about that, and you were like, that's ridiculous. We can be both. And you said that to me as a teenager, and I remember being like, why am I being so? Because I didn't want that. Like, I wanted my mom to be my mom.
Yeah.
And I felt like I needed her as a mom. And
well, she tried a little more to be a friend than a mom, and you were trying more
to be a mom
than a friend. But then, like, we became both.
Yeah.
But then, like, I feel like there was just times, like, when things were really hard, where, like I was still a kid.
You were still a kid,
and like, it was, I think, like, in that transition of me learning those boundaries, it was like I had to figure out like what that like what that looks like now, because I'm like, I can't always be the one.
No,
you
know? Definitely couldn't be.
Yeah.
But that was a hard adjustment, because I took, like, you saying that as a teenager, I shouldn't have taken that as full, like, oh great, now I have
permission.
Friend.
Yeah.
But I think there's some part of me that did. And so then I felt like I kind of lost my friend, lost my person. And when your life started to change, and you fell in love, and you found a person, and just because I don't have a person, it was like a loss for me, and I didn't know where to go, because the person I would talk to about those kind of things was you.
Yeah.
So it was like a weird dynamic for me, and I was like, this is part of life. Like, I have to adjust to this. And also, I did still have to take care of Jackson. Like, there was a lot. Jackson needed a lot at that time. And I had a time where I wasn't dealing with that because he wasn't talking to me. So I really had to step into being a mom, like his mom, and like help guide him and like help him. And so that was a distraction for sure.
Yeah.
But it was definitely, I don't know, it just felt, it was hard. I had a hard time with the boundaries. And then I was like, I don't want these damn boundaries. Like, I'm like, I don't put boundaries on her. Why does she have to put boundaries on me? And then, but then I started to realize this makes sense, and this is a part of growing up. But I think sometimes moms want to hold on to that because it's really hard to go from this like this really close bond and then feel like you're separated.
Yeah. Well, and the transition definitely felt like that. I don't feel like that now, though.
No, I don't either.
Like, I feel like that was just a time
Yeah.
where we, like, had to, like, figure it out.
Yeah.
And I also think that, like, there are times where people don't have they don't grow into boundaries.
No.
And I think that that would have been so much worse.
Yeah.
Because, like, even our working relationship now
So different.
is so different.
Yeah.
Like, it definitely, like, I feel like it used to be, like, we were kind of tiptoeing around things. And, like, I never felt like that with you with anything.
Yeah.
So, like, that used to be weird. It's not like that now.
Yeah.
Like, we communicate better.
Yeah.
And, like, I also, like I still talk to you about stuff, and you still talk to me about stuff. And also, like, you're able to ask me, like, can I talk to you about this? And I'm able to, like, say yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it not be, like, taken offense. And also, like, me to tell you, like, can I ask you about this?
Yeah.
Like, and so it's, like, a mix. It's a healthier mix of mom and daughter versus, like, just being, like... Because it was, like, the boundaries... In my head, I was like, well, we have to be mom here and daughter, like or this relationship here and this way. But, like, it's not like that. Now it's like, okay, well, like, we work together and you're my mom. Yeah. So, like, we don't have to completely separate that. But I went, like, off the deep end. In the beginning, I was like, you can't text me at this number for work stuff. Which, like, I did do with all of my clients, and I still do because I need them
I
to
try
not.
really hard not to ever text you.
But,
I just use Slack. But it was... But then
I also had, like, the team was a
it was
on
just
and off
so
mess.
it was just so hard.
I was figuring out my own business, so it was just like, it was
a transition, but we moved through it, and I think there's going to be different phases of life where you have to allow each other to grow as well. I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
And you have to. I mean, as the parent, you have to let them go. Like, you have to let them go. You have to let them fly out on their own. And you're there if they need you, but you're not hovering over them and, like, carrying them or, like, holding their hand through a job interview or whatever. You are, the support and guidance if they seek you out. That's another thing you have to learn. Like, your opinion is not the end-all be-all anymore.
Yeah, like when you're becoming an adult. Yeah.
It's like...
Because you're trying to figure out what...
Like,
I'm trying to figure out what my own opinion even is.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I think that's I just think that's a hard thing, though.
It is... It's very hard, because at the same time, like, at least for me specifically, and I think you're similar in this way, it's like, sometimes I'm like, just tell me what to do. But then it's like, I don't like what you just told me what to do, so I'm going to do something completely different. Yeah. And, like, that, I think, like, was a hard transition, because when I was, like, a teenager, like, I felt like it was, like, I was, like, anything you say is, like, 100% yes.
Which is so crazy.
Which, like, is, not that I think, like, everything you say is wrong now. Like, I don't think that. Like, I value your opinion and your knowledge, but I also am like, well, what do I also think about this? And, like, maybe somebody else also has a different opinion that I can, like, hear that perspective. Like, just being, like, more, like,
open to the world.
Let's see the rest of it. Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't want to be washed by someone's specific way of thinking about something.
Yeah, which I don't think you ever did that.
No, I don't think so either, but I'm just, making sure.
Yeah, no. I also think that during that transition period, you did a really good job of, like, almost, like, letting us be, like, irritated or mad or upset with each other. Because, like, I think sometimes, especially from, like, what we have experienced, like, being upset or mad, like, means the end. Or, like, it means, like, somebody's gonna leave. Or it means, like, they're done with you. Like, but, like, there was never a point where I was, like, oh, she's not gonna want to talk to me anymore. Or, like, I was allowed to be, like, frustrated with a response you had. And you were allowed to be mad at something that I said. Or, like, I was allowed to be upset and you were allowed to be upset. And we would still figure it out at some point. Even if it, like, took a little bit of, like, space before we talked. And normally it was, like, a week, even though that felt like a lot longer.
Like a long time.
But, it was still, like, it was safe to, like, not have all the comfortable feelings.
Yeah.
Which I think is important in any
I agree.
parent-child relationship.
Because you don't want to shame someone into behaving a certain way.
Yeah, it's like kind of like when kids misbehave and you're like, go say sorry. Like, well, they don't really mean that they're sorry. They're just doing it because you said for them to be sorry. But like, if you create the space for them to be pissed off, they're going to eventually come to the realization, hopefully, that they did something that wasn't the greatest.
Yeah.
And then, but then they'll have come to it on their own.
Yeah.
And then you've given them the space to do that. And now they feel safe to be able to have their own feelings and for you to have your feelings and then come back together about it.
Yeah, I think that's important. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
And I feel like where we are now, like you have been one of my mindset coaches, and I was thinking like, how is this going to work? Like, how am I going to be able to open up and talk to her about things that I would talk to with a mindset person? But it's almost like you're so professional that when it's almost like you go into a role, and I am no longer thinking of you as my daughter, which is weird. I've never been able to do that before.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I don't think of you like that. I think of you as a person who is interested and invested in my wellness, my journey.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I
am your coach, not your daughter.
Yeah. And I take your advice, and I'm like, okay, that's great. Like that's helpful.
Yeah.
And so that's really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think, and currently, like, some of my clients, like, are my friends before they were my clients. But I've told them too, I'm like, whenever we go into this, like, I want you to know, like, I'm still always your friend.
Yeah.
But, like, in this moment, in this scheduled meeting that we have at this time on this day, like, I am your coach. So, like, and there, it doesn't come with, like, well, I'm going to go back and be like, well, she said this about this and I'm judging you. Like, it's like, I really am just, like, going to be your coach in that moment. And I still feel like your coach throughout, like, my feelings afterwards too. So I don't bring in, like, my emotional bias, which, like, is impossible all the time, but like most of the time I try to do that.
You try not to do that.
Yeah.
No, I that makes sense. Well, like I said before, you do it so well, so I appreciate that. And also I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too.
So do you think there's anything that we can add?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of, like, some silly, funny things. The thing that comes to mind is something that I was sworn to secrecy about.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
I'm trying. What comes to mind when you think about, like, just a funny moment between you and I? I have another one too.
I guess I'm alright with the. Yeah, that is the rusty nail water.
We don't have to tell that story.
I guess we can.
Well, I'm not gonna say it. You will have to say it.
All right. So we went to this water park, and there's, like, really long lines, and I had to go pee. And I didn't want to get out of the line. I mean, I'm a grown adult. I sound like a 4-year-old. Yeah. Like, I didn't want to get out.
We were almost there.
We were
literally, like, it was, like, one flight more that we had to go.
We had, like, these raft things that were in front of us, so I just peed. And,
and I was like, oh my gosh, someone peed! Like, I was
really loud in front of, like, all this crowd of people and your friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your friend, too.
My friend was there, too?
Yeah. Her mom.
I don't remember that. I do remember it just being you and your friend.
No.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, so I was like, I am not confessing that I peed in public right now. I can't even believe I'm saying it out loud at all. And I was like, well, it's probably just rusty nail water.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like, that was just, like, common.
But it wasn't rusty nail water. I did pee.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And then when did you tell me? Like when we got home?
I don't know. I didn't tell you. I feel like I didn't tell you for a while because I was like, what was I thinking? Like, what was I thinking? That is crazy.
Well, you would have had to walk all the way back down. And also, like, it's not like the bathrooms were close.
No, they were very far away.
You probably
but
would have just
still,
had to pee, like, in the lazy river or
I'm
something.
an adult. I would never pee in the lazy river. That's the funny part. I would
wouldn't?
never. No. I would never pee.
I have.
But I peed standing up waiting in line?
Yeah,
Like,
you'd never pee in the lazy river, but you'd pee just out in the open in front of a crowd.
I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. I thought that was insane. That is not the thing that comes to my mind when I think of funny stories. I think of when we were naming Jackson, and we were like refrigerator, drayless, and like
TV, drayless.
yeah, all these silly names
Tree,
of
drayless.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like random objects. Like
yeah.
camera, drayless, microphone, drayless. Like we would just like start looking around the room.
Because we used to
and,
just
like,
be
name things.
silly about, and then like how we were gonna hurt each other. Remember, like I'm gonna stab you with a pole. Yeah.
Yeah, we would talk about like basically saying our intrusive thoughts out loud.
Yeah,
Like-
but these were extreme. I never thought I was gonna hurt you with a.
Well, no, yeah, but like, you know how sometimes like when you're driving and you're just like, I could just like crash into a tree right now. Like obviously you wouldn't,
Yeah.
but like it just comes into your head. Has that ever happened to you?
Not really.
No.
Yeah.
I know it's not just me because Jake has said it happens to him too. Happens to you?
Then I think I'm just gonna crash into a tree. No,
Or, like,
I have thought I was
something
gonna accidentally
extreme.
like go off the edge of the skyway.
Yeah, like stuff like that.
Okay.
Like that's an intrusive thought.
Okay.
So like whenever you have intrusive, I'm like, okay, this is not just me. I know this happens to people. But that's I remember we were sitting in a Walmart like parking lot waiting for Dad to get something,
I don't
and
remember
we're
that.
like, well, I guess that lamppost is just gonna fall right on us and crush us into smithereens. Like it was like stuff like that we would say.
Oh my gosh, I do. I remember that, but yeah, those are the things that come to my mind.
One of my like, this is like the truest Lorelai and Rory moment of us that I can think of is when we visited FSU. When I thought I was going to go to college, and we did a campus tour, and it was just you and I. Jackson stayed.
He did?
Yeah, he stayed in the
Okay.
hotel, the crappy hotel we were staying
yeah.
in. And it was just you and I, and we were walking through like the dorms and stuff, and the rest of the people on the tour like kept walking, but you were like, go in, like I'm gonna take a picture, and then you're like, act like you're like doing something like you would do in your dorm.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
whatever. And then like after the fact, I feel like that we hadn't watched Gilmore Girls at that point. I can't remember if we did or not. But like later on, I'm like, that is exactly like when Rory and Lorelai go to I think it's Harvard.
Yeah, it is. It's
They
Harvard.
go to Harvard,
Yeah.
and she like is like just walks into a dorm.
Yeah.
She like act like you're like on the computer. And
We
she's like,
definitely had been watching Gilmore Girls because I mean you were like 18, so we didn't start watching it like later.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it was like that, and even the
Yeah.
picture of you in the dorm room.
yeah, it like kind of looks like
Yeah.
that moment.
Yeah. No, that was fun. That was fun because I mean it's all right that it didn't end up going in that direction.
It would have if I would have gotten accepted,
Yeah.
but I'm glad I didn't.
Who knows? Who knows? You know what would happen.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that always made me think of them, of Lorelai and Rory. I mean, they kind of grew up together. I don't really feel necessarily.
Yeah, because she was so young.
She was so young. Yeah,
Much younger,
I wasn't
right?
so young.
Yeah.
What was I, 29? So it wasn't like a super young
Yeah.
mom. But so I didn't feel like we grew up together. I definitely feel like things changed a lot. We grew through change.
Yeah.
So that is how I could kind of connect to that. And also just the way that they like almost had a shorthand with each other.
Yeah. I
And-
feel like that with you.
Yeah.
Like, there's times where I'm like, I just feel like I can read your mind.
Yeah.
Which, like, when I used to work with you in your classroom in the morning,
Yeah.
I really felt like that.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, I just know, like, what she's going to need before you needed it.
You did anticipated everything. It was like magic.
Yeah.
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 That was fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well, another day we'll share other stories and
Yeah. And we would love for you to ask us questions.
yeah.
Ask us questions on Instagram or on YouTube in the comments. If there's anything that you're wondering or wanting to know more about. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
See you next week.
Bye.